on podcast 25, right?
Yeah, I think it is actually.
I was organizing our drive this morning and I was like, wow, this is like we're in season 3 now. That's
It feels a lot longer than 25
it does feel
podcasts, honestly.
Yeah, I don't
And
know if it's like everything else on top of podcasts that makes it feel like so long, or just like where like it's October and it's a long.
Yeah. I still feel like, how do the boys do it?
I would have lost my mind ages ago.
Yeah.
I might have already. I don't know, but
this works out really nicely for us.
It does work out really nicely for us. Once a month has been the perfect amount of time, but so welcome. Thank you for joining us at the start of season 3. It's nice to spend our Wednesday nights once a month with everybody and kind of get to highlight some good bowling. There was a big event that just happened last weekend that is kind of the theme of our show this week, going through some of the things from the Autumn Open. I know, Trace, you didn't play this year, but you kind of popped your head in and were around some of the event.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was probably the first time in well over 20 years that I took a bit of a break from Thanksgiving. And even my daughter Kaylin said to me, like, Mom, like, we've never had Thanksgiving weekend together. We didn't cook a turkey or anything like that, but we, definitely I spent maybe about 45 minutes in the bowling alley. I couldn't pull Curtis out in the evening. But yeah, I just needed to give myself a little bit of a break from bowling, which is okay, but still I was very invested. I was watching the scores, wanted to know who was winning their matches in the finals, and I was very tuned in. But yeah, it felt nice to kind of have the weekend away from the game a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely got home and was like, it would have been nice to have like a couple days off this weekend for sure, but
yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah, it's all part of it, right? Just to turn around, and TPC is right around the corner.
Yeah, it's coming up fast, but
yeah,
that's kind of this part of the season we're in. Things are like Pro League is starting up again. The cash tournaments are starting up again. Everything's just in full throttle for the next 5 or 6 months, and then we'll get a break again, maybe.
Right, and then it starts all over next year.
Starts all over again. But anyway, going into Autumn Open. So one thing that we like to do is just kind of give a recap of the ladies. Obviously, there was many fantastic men that played the tournament. They were outstanding. The regular podcast is going to be able to highlight some of that next week when their scheduled show is. We just are the fortunate ones that get the first show after the tournament. So we get to highlight the ladies first, which is kind of nice for us.
Yeah, I love that.
So this year at Autumn Open, it was actually fairly similar numbers. I was looking up from last year. 28 players, 48 shifts thrown. So last year, I think it was 27 players and 46 shifts thrown. So very, very similar numbers, which is great. But different faces this year.
Yeah, do we know like who signed up for memberships at all out of that 28?
Ooh, that's a great question.
That could be next podcast, but
yeah, I don't have that information. But for our TPC show, we can definitely get that information.
Love that. Yeah.
I know there were a few that signed up. I know I bought my membership. I know Michaela bought her membership. Baker or Schwartz bought hers. So I know there was a few.
Amazing. That's great.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
With that, 4 ladies made the cut. So cut line was 2078. It scored tough. Like I went through a roller coaster of just how tough the pinfall was for me. My ball specifically just was not carrying strikes. My strike percentage was so low. And I hit so many levels of frustration, which like teaches me that I obviously have more things I need to work on in my game to control that, because I have never been more close to like walking out mid shift and being like, why am I doing this? So it was a tough tournament. So like for 4 ladies to make the cut,
that's amazing. It's tough when you feel like your accuracy is there, but you're like the pinfall's not following to maybe how you're feeling or what your accuracy level is. But I heard that was a common.
It was everywhere. I mean, there was definitely some like breaks here and there, but across the board, pinfall was tough. And like, Yeah, like one game I had, I think like 6 or 7 corner spares, and I'm like, if one of those could like just be a strike.
Right.
So it definitely played on the emotional side of it too for me. Like I struggled to keep that in check at times. Yeah, Amanda, I called it a humbling experience.
Yeah.
I feel that
Yeah,
very
because you were
core.
super close to the cut line, right?
Yeah, I finished at 2064, so I was 14 off.
Yeah.
And I think I missed the middle 3 times like my entire shift, but just lots of
Yeah.
corner spares, lots of chops, lots of head pins. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. We move on.
TPC. TPC.
On to the next. But
Yeah.
yes, 4 ladies made that cut, which is fantastic. We get to talk to 3 of them today. Jen Schwartz made the cut. She qualified 43rd with a 261 average. She was just over the cut line, 2089, but she is bowling on Wednesday night, and so she's unable to join us, but definitely want to shout that one out to her. But it was really nice to see. There was some different faces there this year. Like we get our typical BC crew that comes out, Debbie and Jackie and Rhonda, Brittany, all of those kind of BC ladies. And then we had obviously the Alberta, lots of Calgary women. Sophie and Lamarche came from Quebec. It was her first time coming out west for a cash tournament, which was fantastic. We still got the Megan and Melissa from Newfoundland, which is always nice to see that it's spreading countrywide, which is great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and like tons of great games. 25 games over 300, 3 games over 350. Michaela had a 356, Chantel 360, and Sophie-Anne 373. And then Emma Jean from Central/Calgary, I think Calgary now, through 403 to put herself in the mix going into the last game, which was awesome to see. There was like, yeah, if you were on a run, like people could throw some strikes together, but it was just, you had to find that side of the
It
middle.
does seem like that. And then when you add in some of the 400s by the men, like it's a lot of like high 350 plus, and then to potentially have 4, 5 400s
It was
is not super common either.
No. And then in the doubles, so doubles started on the Thursday night. Greg DeGrazia threw a perfect game in the one match and then turned around the next game and threw another 400, like a mid 420 or so. But yeah, like.
So it was there.
It was there. Yeah, like
Yeah.
he threw 4 300s or 3 400s. That's what I meant to say. 3 400s in the course of the week. So scoring was definitely there. You just had to find it, but
very cool.
Yeah. But with that being said, we could probably just like dive right in and bring in one of our guests. So I'm just going to find the thing here, and then it's not just us shooting off facts. So our first guest is someone who made the cut this year and qualified quite high, Larissa Long.
Hello.
How's it going?
Not too bad. How are you guys?
Good, thank you, Larissa. You were very consistent, hey? First
Yeah.
game came out a little bit, looks like it was a little bit challenged, but from there you just obviously found something, and you were very consistent. 267, 328, 318, 253, 258, 299, 284 for 274 average. So beautiful, beautiful, consistent bowling.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I definitely was saying my first game was kind of like that little humbling game, I would say. I was like, I was so confident going into the whole weekend. I was like, yeah, this is gonna be great. I love Paradise. It's always been really good for me. And then I was like, oh shoot, 187. I gotta pick that up. So I go over and I talk to a couple of my friends, and I was like, yeah. And David goes, well, nothing a couple 300s won't fix. I was like, so true. So, and then I kind of just was on a roll from there, and everything felt really good. Things were falling for me. Like I had a couple head pins, couple corners here and there, but everything kind of just felt good. And I had a really good lane draw too, so that's always really helpful. And Dwayne Gilardi was on my lane draw, so he's super great to talk to
and to bowl
throughout
with.
the day. And to bowl with,
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, like not a lot of people, like 187 is a tough start, right? I don't know what happened for you in that game, but like at some point, either that conversation with your friends either helped you move along and you didn't get stuck in a
No.
negative mindset. So talk about that flip for you from sort of, ooh, okay, don't panic, and then, help us understand like how you navigated the next 7 games.
Yeah, a lot of what I've been doing is like kind of going over my games and just like not perseverating on bad games anymore, right? Just okay, that was a bad game and that's you can't change that and you can't go back on it. And it's just moving forward and then throwing your next best shot, right? And keep going from there is and then, verbalizing it to my friends and just saying, "Hey, that was a bad game and I didn't throw well, but my next games are going to be good." So,
Mm-hmm.
just like kind of that kind of flip is what helped me out there for sure.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. I really liked what you said your friend told you about it's nothing that a 300 won't fix, right? I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes we get stuck in that mindset of like, oh my gosh, I just threw something under 200.
Yeah.
Really, when you throw something just over 300, you're now averaging 250, which is right around where you need to be for that cut, right?
Exactly. And last year I did the same thing. I had a really good start. I had good 7 games and I ended up with like a buck 80. And it's like, hey, well, I did it last year. I made the cut with a buck 80. Why not try again this year? So
Oh, I think too, like where you were headed, like those 260 plus games, and like your lowest game was 258, which is still a
hmm
beautiful, like you're happy with that. But to come back with those 300s, 328, you gain some points there. 318, you gain points there. 299 is a beautiful game. 285 is almost striving. It's one shot away from being another 300. So
oh yeah.
like could have had like 4 300s probably quite easily.
Oh yeah.
So, did I say 4 400s or 4 300s?
Or
Just
300s? Yeah.
okay, I did. It's just like, oh my, I had
So,
fours on the brain there. Anyway, it's
yeah.
unbelievable. So
So,
then you go ahead, Katie.
oh, I was going to say, so then after your qualifying shift, because you only played the one qualifying shift, correct?
Yeah.
And that was on Friday?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Friday
then you
morning.
had
Yeah.
all afternoon Friday,
Yeah.
all day
Mhm.
Saturday. Did you play Baker's Friday night?
No, I had gotten asked, but that's when I started feeling sick, and I was like, I don't know if you guys really want me to. And I was like, I'm gonna focus on just kind of getting better, taking the day, taking the night to just like get this whole sickness out as much as I can before Sunday, and try and show up on Sunday.
Fair.
Well, you did show up on
Yeah.
Sunday, honestly. Um, yeah, so 1983, 248, correct? And it
hmm
looks like you just had some games in there that probably were one shot, one
Oh yeah.
strike, one spare away from making the difference. And I can see maybe one, two, three, half of your games
Yep.
easily were probably just one shot away.
Yeah, it was definitely game 6 and 7. They were kind of the same games, honestly. I think we were on the
Mm,
end set of lanes, and game 6, I had like 4 right corners in a row. And I was like, oh my goodness, like there's nothing was falling as easily as it was on my shift. So I was like, okay, well that's not great. So, pick my corners, but it's definitely harder and it's taxing on you for sure. And then you get
mhm.
the corner and then you get the head pin. You're like, okay. So you gotta I couldn't get momentum going in game 6 and 7, and like game 7 I had 4 lefts in a row. And I was like, oh man. So it
Yeah.
was definitely playing on me a little bit there. And then that's where I found my 307 at the end. I was like, okay, we are back on the lower side of the lanes. So kind of just it was like a new, oh, all right, let's see if I can do whatever I can to bring up some points. But yeah,
Did
it
you
was
think
honestly, sorry, go ahead.
did you think that the that something was just slightly off for you on that day
Mm-hmm.
versus maybe
Definitely.
where, because like obviously throwing almost a 2200, you've got good focus, you're really really sharp, and this just seemed like a fraction less for you. And I just wondered, did you feel that mentally? Were you maybe not as locked in as you maybe were for the 22?
Definitely. I think just more like I had a little bit of brain fog for sure from being like
Mm-hmm.
sick, and I was
It's a good
running
word.
hot all day, and just my grip, I wasn't super confident in holding my ball really. And so like I was placing like my middle hits, like you would look at it and be like, wow, she's hitting the middle like 80%. But to me, it's like, well, I don't feel like I'm hitting middle at all. It
Yeah.
was very
Well,
like not trusting my shot kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
And that
Yeah.
center is definitely one that you really have to be like assertive with your shot. If you get
Hmm.
lazy with it, you're not going to get rewarded. And so having a little
Exactly.
bit of illness on top of it, where the energy is just not quite there, it's so hard to keep that momentum and adrenaline and like aggressive shot going when you're like also physically drained.
Yeah, and it was just like a little bit too late for me to be like, oh, this is what I should probably do. And it was just like to get that little click of like, Kate, I should probably change something now, or but it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with how I did this weekend, and I'm going to TPC next month, so I'm kind of excited to see how that plays out for me there.
So one thing I was thinking is like realistically before the last couple years, like cash tournaments you weren't super consistently making cuts at before, like have you really been focusing on a certain aspect of your game? Because in the last 2 years we've seen you make multiple cuts, make some deep runs at Beef Bowl and things like that. So like where's that shift come in your game? Because it's definitely like upped, right?
Yeah, so like I've changed a lot actually. I mean, within the last year, just to build my confidence, right? And like a good mental focus. I've changed my shot completely and like worked with it consistently enough that I'm like super confident in throwing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, got some new gear, got some new shoes, got some new balls that like play really well with me now, and just a lot of advice from a whole bunch of people. Like over the summer, I work with Lynn Howell quite a bit, and he's like helped like Curtis Deering in Medicine Hat here. Like he's definitely helped. It's just a lot of like talking with others like who have been super successful like in bowling that can like give a little bit more insight into like the mental side of it and just like the confidence for sure.
Huge piece, yeah.
The
Yeah.
in 25 podcasts, we've never had somebody talk about brain fog.
Hmm.
And so like I love that because we've never talked about it. So when you think about brain fog and how maybe that has helped you build your confidence, maybe you could lend us some insight of like how you're overcoming brain fog.
I think it's just being a little bit more in tune with like what I'm thinking and like what I'm focusing on. With that brain fog, it was just like there was nothing there, and it was just like a daze for sure. And like I was in the moment and living it and bowling it, and I was there, but not bowling, kind of thing. It just didn't
Mm-hmm.
feel like that. But yeah, definitely when I'm at tournaments now, or even just when I'm bowling in league, just being a little bit like recognizing like my emotions and like being a little bit more intentional with my throwing for sure
Mm-hmm.
and my thoughts.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
like one thing we haven't really
And I
explored
don't think
too
we've
much.
ever really gone into it.
Maybe does a little bit in the early sort of podcast, but I think that's one like we should be talking about because again, what it means is like you've put your shoes on for the day for the moment, and then you're kind of just living in this space without you're kind of going through the motions is what I'm trying to
Hmm.
say,
Yeah.
versus being very intentional about your
Mhm.
execution, which for some is not easy, and you have to be more disciplined in terms of intentionally executing your shot. That's really interesting to me. I haven't heard that talked about too much. And
I think it's
then,
something everybody could relate to though. Like I know there's
oh
times
Hmm.
yes,
when I'm struggling, somebody will say, "Well, what are you thinking about when you're on the lane?" And I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I'm not thinking about anything right now. And
yeah,
like I think we all have those moments where like our equipment's ready to go. We're there, we're at the tournament, but like something is just not clicking
mm-hmm.
the mental piece of
Hmm.
it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. The shot sort of rework that you've done.
Hmm.
Talk to us a little bit about the rework that you've done in your game.
Oh. So definitely focusing a lot more on being aggressive with my shot, for sure. Like I think I used to be like a throwing under 30. Now I'm up to like 35. Like have a bit more of a powerful shot. I used to back in YBC, I was a crazy hook bowler. Now I've got my that nice little backup on my ball and a little bit more control on it, and definitely have a good feeling for like getting some fingers on the ball, getting that little bit more of a roll. Um, yeah, just super confident with that. And like I've always had
That,
really good mechanics, so I
yeah,
can
agreed. You
back
do.
up off with. So
All
yeah.
of that work, Larissa, is a lot of work. Like,
Hmm.
we all know how hard that is, and the discipline to get, on the lanes, and to take like coaching advice from maybe your bowling mentors and take time to nurture what's going to work for you is super amazing. So I would continue to like challenge you to keep striving forward and keep doing that work.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's something I'm super passionate about, right? I enjoy bowling and I'm good at it, so why not keep doing it and try
Yeah,
and be
I
as
love that. She
successful
just
as I
said I'm
can.
good at it.
We
Like,
Yeah.
also don't have people ever say that on podcast.
no,
No
like
one ever just
I
says
think
it.
that
It's
is
like,
amazing. Like, I'm good at it.
Yeah.
yeah. I think we all
Love
need to like
that.
remind ourselves of that sometimes. Like it's nice to hear someone who just comes in and like is telling us like sometimes I get the brain fog. Everybody experiences that, but like no one vocalizes it.
Yeah.
Someone who's saying like I'm good at this. Like yeah, you are good at it. And like it's good to
Yeah,
remind yourself of that and how powerful is that to be able to stand up there and like before you throw a shot even like I'm good at it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I
One of
think
the
what that says is like the self-doubt for Larissa right now. She's started to weed that out,
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
and and that is building up her confidence because there's no self-doubt, there's no negative talk.
yeah.
Yeah.
Someone
That's
once told me
really
that
cool.
every time you get on the lane at a bowling tournament, just stand up there and like remind yourself that you're the best to throw that ball right now. You're the
Hmm.
best. So just do it. Throw
Yeah,
like you're the best because you are.
Yeah. It's absolutely good
Important
advice.
to remind that, right?
yeah, I
Wow.
think
So
that's really cool.
what is on the docket for this season for you, Larissa?
So we got Pro League this weekend, so I'm on Pro League Trash Pandas this year. So I will be making my debut with them. And then I'll be at TPC for sure. And probably the other tour events. So like Regina and Heritage is where I'm planning to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Masters
Open for sure. Yes.
open for sure.
Yeah. We're hosting it this year, so I gotta do it.
You got to be there.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
much fun.
That'll be so good. Well, congratulations on a fantastic
Hmm.
event.
Thank
On
you.
Open is a grueling one. So,
Hmm.
like, the fact that you had so much success is fantastic. And hopefully that all carries on into the next events. Did you buy your tour membership?
I did not, no.
There's time.
Interesting.
I'll
Yeah.
think about
You're going to 3
it.
more events this year. That's 3 more cuts to make.
Invest
That's
in
good.
yourself.
You're good at it.
You're good
That's
at
great.
it.
Well, thank you for taking some time, even though you're not feeling 100%, to come on and just reflect and celebrate your success with us. It was fantastic talking to you, and we will see you at TPC.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Have a great night.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so we get to move on to another lady who qualified for the main event, and she was like on this weekend. There was lots of people watching, specifically her as the event was going. So we will bring her in here. Hello, Shelly.
Hi.
How's it
She's
going?
she's beaming still.
Yeah, I'm still kind of floating on cloud nine. Yeah.
Amazing. Tell us a little bit about the weekend, the aftermath, like how you're feeling today. Have you let it all sunk in, your amazing bowling?
Um, well, I kind of just entered for the fun of it. I'm kind of miss just bowling for fun. So I said this season I'm going to just do as much bowling as I can just for the fun of it, and did not expect to bowl as well as I did. I mean, I always expect to bowl well, but the outcome doesn't always end up well. So I actually almost chickened out the day of. So I went to coach YBC in the morning, and then I had a really awesome fellow coach who said, you know what, you can bowl just as well as all of them there. Just believe in yourself and go do it. So I'm like, okay, I'll just show up and do it. And wow, I did it.
You sure did.
Yeah.
It was beautiful bowling. So you finished with 2078. I'm really struggling with my words tonight. 273, 226, 190, 267. So you rebounded really nice. 254, 240, 231, 297 to finish, which that was a big game.
Yeah, I needed that just to make the cut right on the bubble.
You did.
You were the cut.
Uh-huh.
You, number 48, and there was a group of people standing back. I was like standing with a bunch of people kind of watching it finish because my lane had finished quite a bit earlier, and they were like crunching the numbers, figuring it out. I think Ryan O'Callaghan was like at the front of that crowd being like, oh my goodness. He was buzzing.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was I was sick to my stomach because I knew I was close, and then I was like, could it possibly happen? And some people were saying, you got it, no problem. And then other people were like, I don't know. And they were on the scoreboard, and and some were like, I don't know, it's like a 3-point difference. And I'm like, nobody talk anymore. I just need to just wait and hear the announcement.
Well, and you were like, you just kind of hung down in the pit, standing by the score desk, just kind of waiting until the counter announced, like, okay, here's what the cut is. Shelly's 48 at 2078. Yeah. And so in that moment, were you like surprised, or like what was going through your head when they said that?
I wasn't like surprised, but I think I was relieved that I got it because I bowled my butt off. And and I just felt like, you know what, I totally deserved it, and I just felt like, okay, if I don't get it, I was just going to be upset, but I was just ecstatic like that. And then they didn't even say my name. They just said the total, and I knew my total. And I do not ever look at the scoreboard when I bowl a tournament because sometimes that messes with my head. So I just needed to hear the total, and I knew then I was in.
So then that night, like, obviously you might have celebrated. What did you do that night before you had to show up on Sunday?
Nothing really, because it was late.
It was like 10:30.
10:30.
Right.
Yeah. And I went, what time do we need to be back here tomorrow?
Yeah.
Well, it was funny because my husband was watching the live, right? That's another thing is my family's not allowed to watch me because sometimes I fall apart. So that's superstition. So he knew right away, like, and then he actually, I had to just call and tell him because I was so excited. And Amanda was with me. I drove Amanda home and talked about it the whole way home. So I was just like, it was crazy, but I had to drive her to Airdrie and then drive back to Calgary. So I didn't get home until almost 11. And I pretty much, what I did is I had a hot shower and I went to bed, and that was it.
How did you sleep?
Good question.
I slept like a baby because I wasn't sure. I was like, oh, am I going to think about this all night? Am I going to have a crappy sleep? I think I was just exhausted from throwing that. I wasn't tired from the bowling.
It's a comes down emotionally.
The whole excitement of it, right? I just totally crashed.
So you get your bowling shirt on Sunday morning, you got your outfit for the day, you put on your bowling shoes, and did you ever anticipate this? 356, 300, 257 for a 913 triple to be leading the tournament at that point?
Never in 1,000 years. But after I threw that 356 game, I was like, holy shit, I'm on it again for the second day in a row, right? And then that's all I needed because I was even more nervous Sunday, going, what am I doing in this caliber with all of these bowlers around me? It was just surreal. I don't know. I just felt like I knew I belonged there because I can throw some big games, but I was just like, oh my God, it just really clicked. And I'm like, I hope I can hold on to it for one more day and not embarrass myself. That was the big part of it. So when I started those first 3 games, I was like, yes, I have a shot at this maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And then it all fell apart.
No, so then was that just like for you, like I'm looking at your games and I can see your start 9-13. That is a big triple to start such a significant event, right? So
Mhm.
A, you should be really proud of yourself. Then what sort of happened for you after that? Was it an accuracy thing? Did you start to lose the focus? Like
Uh,
because this is where the learning and the development piece comes in, right?
yeah.
And the experience, to be honest, right? So this is fairly new for you. So what was going through your mind for the last, I guess, back half?
Well, I think because I started off so well, I then what happens is I get super excited about bowling and I speed up, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
think that probably my hand and my feet were not in unison. And then the fourth game, I hit 4 head pins in a row, and that we all know is takes a toll right
I
on
was
your game
roller
because it was like, and the frustrating part was I made an adjustment, so I didn't stay in the same spot because usually I'll let it go for 2 or 3, but I'm like, no, then I need to change something up here. And then I just kept punching and I was like, what the heck is going on? And then I had, well, Katie, you came over to talk to me. So I think more people around me noticed that I was doing something different. And I came home and watched the live. I watched myself to see, and I was like, I wasn't even throwing the ball like I normally do. It wasn't smooth. I didn't have the great follow through. I didn't have my leg extension. It was like rushing at the foul line. And I think that all that excitement just made me rush. And then, yeah, and I just kind of fell apart in the fourth. And then I said, like, I just needed the game over. I was like, that's what I said. I'm like, I need this game to just be over and I'll restart. I took my bowling shoes off. I went to the bathroom. I got some pizza because I'm a big snacker. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
big thing is like my husband uses this term all the time, feed the beast. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like I needed something to eat and I don't think I ate soon enough. I don't know. I could say a bazillion like excuses, but yeah.
But because honestly, like
Definitely.
you were still okay. Like your first four block, even with your fourth game, your
Yes.
4 game block was still really good. And I think your mindset was really good. Like just reset, and then what can I do as best as I possibly can for the back 4 games? Because then I think you would have actually probably at some point, if your scores were a bit higher, those last 2 games probably hurt you. But
Mhm.
even like the fifth, sixth game weren't, they were still good, right? So how would you gain another 150 sticks somewhere in there to kind of make the cut? But I
Yeah.
think like the fact that you went back and actually looked at the live stream is really really big,
Mhm.
Shelly. And knowing that it was a speed thing too, like how do you be mindful of that like in the
Yeah.
future, because you're going to have lots of moments like this where now you're investing in your game. And I think too it's pretty kind of cool to go back and say I just want to bowl for fun, right? And I think that's really really important. And maybe where you're at right now with your game and trying to remind yourself that the game is fun. That's why
Mhm.
you did what you did this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't overthink, and that's my big thing. I get in my head, then I doubt myself, and then my game goes to crap. And yeah, so it was kind of like, and everyone, as much as I love everyone around me, is always like, "Stop that! You can do this." It's still like
Hmm.
it's me. It's a mind game I have to work on. But that was the thing, as I said, this season needs to be different. I need to not stress about the game. I just need to bowl and throw the ball like I know how to throw it. So yeah.
I think you're already on the right track in the sense of being able to look at it and already see all the things that you can take away from it and like learn from. And then also just in the moment, even like being able to stop, like coming off a game, like a low game with the 4 head pins in a row, that's enough to rattle anybody at any level and caliber tournament, whether it's a POA or a scratch tournament. Like it's going to be something that no matter who you are, you're going to be like, oh my goodness. But to be
Mm-hmm.
able to, in that moment, stop, take your shoes off, go for a walk, get some food, recognize that, you know what, maybe I'm hungry and need to like reset myself. is huge, because there's a lot of players out there that just keep their shoes on and keep just like pounding it in there, being like, maybe something will change, but not ever willing to like try to make a change and try to like see what else they can do. So I think that just being aware and being able to reflect in the moment, not even after the fact when you go back and watch it again and go, okay, I see what I was doing. But like in the moment when like emotions are high and adrenaline's going, to be able to stop and pull yourself out for a second and go, okay.
Yeah,
Just-
let's go back to that previous game.
Well, and it sounds like, so you have a lot of special people in your life, Shelley, but let's maybe talk about this relationship that you have with Amanda. So we've been obviously watching Amanda and her striving for better, stronger, right? Has that kind of fueled something a little bit different in your game, and or vice versa? Are you fueling something for Amanda's game? Because we all have those special friendships in our bowling community. We need those people to keep moving us forward. We can see your relationship with Amanda's very special. So like, talk to me about a little bit about that, because there's a friendship side, but then there's also this bowling thing that you both have.
Yeah, no, well, she came into my life in 2018. We made the Teaching Masters tournament, the team. And yeah, and it just, I don't know, the relationship just clicked. And so she was new. She hadn't been in Alberta very long, and she was bowling out of a bowling alley way far from where she lived. And so I invited her to come bowl with us in our league. And I don't know if that league, I bowl out of Bowling Depot. It's just a fun league on Thursday night. And I'm serious about my bowling there, but I just take it for fun. So it's, if I bowl good, I bowl good. If not, nothing. But it's not there for competition. But she's just, as she's joined us, she's just getting better and better and better. And putting the time in. And I'm kind of now watching her blossom, and I'm like, whoa, you're not allowed to do this alone. I'm a little jealous here, and I need you to take me along on the ride. So that's where I think I am, after watching her last year. And I just followed her everywhere because I was so damn proud of her that I was like, you know what, that should be me with her there. Like, I deserve that too. So this season is, I want to do it with her, and we can just push each other.
And that's what it is. It's pushing each other. And like I said, like, we all 2018 codependent. I mean, I think it's true. There are so many pivotal people in our lives that like push us forward in the game, push us past certain mindset things. And I think that you both are doing that for each other right now, which she had a beautiful segment at Masters like 2 weeks ago, and then she was like the person who was behind you on Sunday when you were playing, right? Just to enable all of those great moments that you were having, but also enable some of those hard moments that you were having, and how to like push you forward through that. So I think your friendship is very cool. So, and what we're seeing already early on in the season from the two of you is pretty good.
Yeah.
What do you have in the plans for the rest of the season?
So Amanda and I just booked our flight to Manitoba. So we're going to do the Manitoba Open. I'm a Manitoba girl. I was raised there, so I would love to do well on my stomping grounds. And yeah, so that's the next tournament. I think we have IP we're going to try again, and then I'm just doing Teaching Masters again this year. So yeah, that's all I have so far. I mean, I'm interested in doing lots of tournaments, but yeah, we'll just see how it works out with my schedule.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, congratulations on a fantastic event. Definitely earned your spot in that top 48 and showed exactly who you were coming in hot the next day. So bask in that feeling and the carry that forward into Manitoba, and hopefully the rest of the season has just as much success.
Yeah, thanks.
for talking with us, Shelly.
All right.
Thanks, Shelly.
Thanks for the invite.
All right. And I love that. Someone who like we haven't like I love it. And like even on Facebook, there's been lots of people who have been talking about it. I've had lots of people message me. I saw a comment that Tim made on someone's post saying that watching her like make it into the cut and then coming out the next day with those 2-300s was probably like, other than the final coming down to one pin difference between Evan and Jeremy, that it was like the storyline of the tournament, which is
like a 9-13 triple on the day of is
when all the pressure's there and like you still show up and do it. That's
it's very cool. Yeah. And I think too, like we really monitor like Facebook and how the women in our sport are like feeling in all of their moments, right? We love those posts, those like really good proud moments where you just want to brag about yourself because you just feel so empowered that you actually did something that you never thought you were going to do. We have lots of those moments, and then those moments where people are just like really struggling, and they're expressing that because they're continuing to work on their game. But that is the crazy thing about this game. There are so many highs and lows, and it is really hard to have consistency and be at top of your game for a long period of time. People do it.
Yeah.
People do it all of the time. We celebrate those moments, right? But I think the whole facet of this podcast is how do we make sure that we're communicating how proud we are of these women who are displaying their, I guess, prowess in the game. But how do we continue that they don't give up on themselves, especially when they enjoy the game, when the game means everything to them, right? That it's a big part of their life, and they want it to be a big part of their life because it's a community.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, our last guest is someone who has been
Yes.
at the top of her game for quite a while, in like kind of a different realm, right? Still playing in the youth and stuff, but coming out into the adult tournaments and just making her mark early. We'll bring her in. Hello,
Hi, Michaela.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good.
Good.
How are you? Where's your cap tonight? We took the cap off.
I got a haircut today, so I thought I'd go
Very
without
nice.
the cap.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Well,
So-
let's talk about Michaela for a while.
congratulations on another
Yeah.
fantastic event. You and I had many conversations over the weekend because after Friday, we both threw a shift Friday morning, and we both, or was it
Well,
Friday
I was,
morning?
I was Thursday afternoon, but
Thursday afternoon.
really, yeah.
After the Friday morning shift, we both were sitting there going, "Are we the bubble? Like, is it good enough? Is it not good enough? Are we playing Saturday afternoon? Are we not playing Saturday afternoon?" And ultimately, like, we decided to play. You killed it and put your other score. Your other score would have made it,
Yeah.
I believe, but you took that out of the mix and took it into your own hands. Didn't have to sit there and waiting because you played fantastic in that Saturday afternoon shift. Qualifying 31st with a 21-14, so you bettered your score by quite a bit. Little bit like of a, not like a bad start, but 247, 240, 231. So like a little bit below the cut line of probably where you're targeting. Then you come back with a 256, 201, and then your end was massive, 295, 301, 343. And you could just see you turn it on in those last three games. Like I was kind of keeping my eye on you, watching what was going on because you were hovering around that like cut line just below. And then it was like, okay, I'm done. Like I'm done.
Yeah.
Just under, like time to go.
Yeah. In my first shift, I started like horrible. And then I brought it back. But I like didn't bring it back enough. Like I didn't feel ever secure with the first shift.
Right.
And even though it did make it in, even if it did, like I don't feel like I have the same confidence that I do going into the Sunday, because I was like, man, I kind of got lucky with that shit, like the first shift. So, and then in the second shift, I knew I had to shoot around like 9:30 for my last three. And I went outside and I was just sitting there and like even when I was downstairs, I was talking to Christine and I was like, I did it in my first shift. Like I know I can throw the big games to get there. Like I just need to take my time. And actually like throw the ball, like throw a good decent shot because I knew the pins weren't gonna like the pins weren't falling easily all weekend. Like I had to like it had to be a total mental like different
Shift.
like shift this weekend because I was
Mhm.
like I'd let go of the ball and it would feel really good, but I didn't expect it to be a strike. Like I was like just get your spares and you'll make it there. So it kind of that's what was my shift. Like normally I'm like I throw a decent ball. I'm like, hey, I'm throwing a strike here. Like there, I was like, nope, let's get pocket aces or something. Like let's have a fun time with
Going
that.
for his
So
bear.
I mean, so like your first half was pretty good, and then you shot the 201, and then the 201 is when you went outside with Christine, and then you
Well,
shot your 939.
I was talking with Christine in the bowling alley, and then I just went outside. Like I cooled off. Like
Mm,
I try and go outside like as much as I can when I'm bowling these tournaments, just because like
that's good.
it gets so warm. Like I need like and in between games, good or bad, I still need that reset to go into the next game. So
So
I'm
like
just
I want to pick at so like these moments where you throw a 201 and now you know, oh my God, like I need a 900 ish,
Mhm.
3 games. I want to talk about that. Then you go into the round of 48 and you start out really good. And then you had a lower game, 219, which is not a bad game, right? You
Yeah.
probably had a couple plows, whatever. Then you
Mhm.
come back, you're 288, so you're on a little bit of a roller coaster
Yep.
mentally. Then you shoot a 217. And so again, this is what I want to pick at. Then you go, oh, I'm just going to throw a 642 double, right? Which is very similar to what you did in the first round with your 939. You came back with 2 decent games to be, more than good. And watched you on the live stream in this match. In the 233 game, I could see that you were picking at things, but you were never bothered. You never looked like you had any stress that last game. You just look like I got this. We're good. Like I'm just
Yeah.
doing my thing. I think the teachable moment is right now, Michaela. Like you're still young, and you are doing things right now that many of us who are even veterans in games strive to do.
Mhm.
I say that proudly and respectfully. But I want, to get in the mind of Michaela when she, is having a bit of a, tougher moment with the game. What's the teachable moment right now, or what's working for you, Michaela, that you can come back and you can throw the 900 triple, you can throw the 6.5 double to get you into these like key clutch matches.
Yeah. I just stopped. Me and my mom were talking about it because like we're all in bowling. We're so hard on ourselves. Like we can't be perfect, right?
Mhm.
And so like I'm at this point now where I'm like those like to start the day when I was like 300, then I went 219. Like my 219 wasn't a bad game. Like
Mhm.
I was still hitting the middle. I really just wasn't scoring as like the outcome. Like it didn't feel like a badly shot game. It's
Mhm.
just the score wasn't there, and I was like, so just take a breath and then let's just start again. Like each game is a reset, is what I'm trying to work out right now, and I'm like, and I'm gonna have to adjust. Like I knew that, and like I really my struggle right now is just I punch so much, and my bad games are just because I'm punching, and it's a shot that feels good. It's just not scoring. So like I'm trying to just find like a bit of a reset and just not get. I don't want to critique myself so much. Like I can't be so hard on myself anymore because it's just
Mhm.
that's where my downfall is. Like I just need to like if you throw a bad game, just come back, like reset and come back with a good one, like even it out,
Yeah.
because if you even it out, it will get you there in the end,
Mhm.
I think that's
especially with that.
already showing like
Maturity.
maturity
Yeah.
that like a lot of the adult field still struggles with. Not necessarily that they're immature, but just to be
Mhm.
able to look at the game and go, I need to not be so hard on myself. I think,
Yeah.
especially in this sport, because a lot of it is individual, we are very hard on ourselves, and being able to temper that and like control that and put it back down when those moments start to bubble up a little bit
Mhm.
and give yourself some grace and give yourself some room to be like, that wasn't a bad game. It just didn't score well. Or
Yeah.
yeah, there was room for improvement in that, but like I can come back with something bigger and like balance it out. Just shows like mental growth that like you can tell has been put into your game. I mean, we've been watching you on the scene for a few years.
Mhm.
Could we have said the same thing a few years ago about like where you were at mentally in the game? Maybe not so much, but like
No. Yeah.
already, right? We've seen so much growth even since we started this podcast,
Mhm.
just in where your like thought process and the mental maturity and the reasoning behind the game instead of just following the emotional part of the game, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, and I think like there's
that's such a hard thing to like hone in.
yeah, and I think there's still times where like I break and stuff like in the 16s like I went like buck 70 like and I had 12 head pins and a set of aces between those two games. Like I
Mhm.
wasn't like it I just was again like I just wasn't scoring. But like I and then again I talked to Christine and she was like, you're kind of just overthrowing the ball a little bit. Like let's just
Dial it
reset.
back.
And then I found it again. Like I was because I was playing Dwayne and I shot another like I went 170 and then I shot another one and I was like I was so frustrated like I had like tears in my eyes because I was like it felt like I was throwing such a good ball. Like I didn't feel uncomfortable with my shot, but I didn't know like and I was like just
What to
finish
think.
the game and then just start a new one. Like there were still 6 games left at that point. Like, and so, I mean, obviously that day is super tiring
Mhm.
Yes.
and like exhausting, but
Mhm.
I still knew that, okay, like there was your 2 games full of head pins. Let's not throw a head pin for a full
2
game
games.
here or something. Let's only have one this game. Like I tried to just like try and get out of that like, oh my god, all I'm doing is punching. All like it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like I know that. So like let's just reset and start again.
It also sounds like you're giving yourself compassion when you do break. Like you're trying to have those like that even keel thought process, but like you're human and like we all like there were moments this weekend that I had the tears welling up in my eyes just out of pure
Yeah.
frustration, right? Like it happens to the best of us even when we're trying to control it, but it sounds
Yeah.
like you're now in a spot where you're even in those moments where like you're getting that frustration and letting it creep in, giving
Mhm.
yourself compassion to feel that for a second and then be
Yeah.
like, "Okay, wait, let me reset myself," which is just
Yeah.
it's a hard thing to do.
Like I didn't want to cry like mid game, but then I shook Dwayne's hand and I was like, "Hey, let's just like if 1 or 2 tears slip, it's fine. We'll just reset. Like just like because there's no point in just keep on like being upset. Like
And I
well,
love
and
what you said
it's
about there was still 6 games left.
yeah,
Mhm.
I love that.
And it is a good release because this is what I know. For anyone who's successful in this game, for any Hall of Famer, for any future Hall of Famer, which I actually think you're going to be, Michaela, if you stay with the game. But as you are navigating all of these learning experiences for yourself, the maturity, the mental growth, we shouldn't be tempering your passion for the game. We already know you have a ton of passion for the game, and we also know you have a huge desire to win. So you've got this formula for yourself that you're going to continue to navigate, in future decades if you decide to stay with the game. So I just think the fact that you're at a point right now where you've had some highs, you've had some lows, you've had some learning experiences on the lane. I just don't want you to temper that passion for the game and that desire to win, because I think that's what's going to make you one of the greatest of all time if you stay with the game.
thank you.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think at this moment I still like I mean going to this weekend I don't expect to win these tournaments. Like I think I
No.
can always play well, but
Mhm.
like this weekend was kind of a bit of an eye opener for me too. Like to know that I probably can compete. Like I knew I was sitting in second at some points this weekend
Mhm.
and like I mean I I had dropped quite a bit, and I saw like that I was sitting in the lower half, and then I was like, okay, like let's build back. Like I just want to find that like in between right now where it's like there's not a point in the game where you are done. Like
Yeah.
you can always come back. It doesn't matter if you're coming back to first place, but I mean,
Well, and you even said to me at one point, you're like, I just want to, get as many spots back up as I can. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm not playing for first anymore, but I can still play for second or third or
Yeah.
fourth, or fifth, whatever that new goal is. I want to
Mhm.
get myself into the top 10, and then I want to get myself in the top 5, right? You
Yeah.
had that motivation of like, okay, well, I'm not done yet. Don't count me
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm trying. That's like that was like my learning process over the weekend. Like it's not over until it's over, kind of. Like
Mhm.
it didn't matter at what point in the day.
Well, and
So-
I think that's one of the
Love
things
it.
when you look across the board at female, male bowlers, the ones who have had a ton of success are the ones that maybe not are like the most consistent, always here, but when they have those moments where they drop, that's when they go into a new gear and they just turn
Yeah.
it on and go, okay,
Mhm.
I can see the finish line. What do I need to do now to like propel myself up and do better than what I'm doing right now?
Yeah.
And like we see that in you for sure. And there was multiple times this weekend, you can see it in your scores. You'd have those dips, and then it was like, okay, new gear, got to turn it on now
Mhm.
because I have a goal and I'm going to go get it.
Yeah.
And that's what makes like the players across our sport fantastic.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
What's next?
TPC.
Got to turn 18.
It's gotta. Well, I turned 18 like 2 days after TPC, so.
That's right.
But I mean, I have a few youth tournaments, but nothing too big, so just kind of a few here and there. But I have a little bit of a chaotic weekend for TPC, so we'll see how that goes because I have to drive up and down a few times. So
Oh no.
Oh.
yeah, so we'll see about that.
Is that like
I'm-
a work thing or just some personal responsibilities?
Just some personal responsibilities at the
Got-
moment.
got
Yeah,
it.
so I'll make that tournament fun for me. So a bit of gas money going into it, but
Yeah.
hopefully that I only have to play the one shift or maybe 2 that I'm in for right now, and then I'm in the invitational, so I'll play that
Great.
for sure.
Yeah,
And
Thursday night.
Yeah, and
Nice.
then I'm not able to make it out to the Manitoba Open this year because I have singles that weekend.
Mm.
But all the other tournaments I'm good for at the moment. So
Regina and
Heritage.
Nice.
Yeah. So because I got some tour points here, so I'm hopefully
Yes, you
Just gotta-
did.
just have to take a few more. So,
That's
It is
right.
just still bizarre for me, like Michaela being like an adult, like 18,
yeah.
right?
Well,
Yeah,
was
it's very
funny.
cool to watch you.
yeah, I was making jokes because I was like, I was supposed to go to the Manitoba Open like with the original dates, and I was like, sweet, it's gonna be my first legal tournament. Like I'm gonna bowl well, but I'm gonna have fun at it. And then I was like, shoot, missing out there. And then I'm like, Regina, not legally old enough, so we're gonna have to wait all the way till Red Deer now.
Yeah.
19
But that's
there.
Yeah. So,
A
all right.
fun time.
We'll see. Maybe a better time at the Bakers or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, all I can say is keep doing what you're doing because you seem like the game and the mental side are all falling into line and they're just going to propel you to continue to make these cuts and continue to have those deep runs on Sunday. 4th place, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
That
Thank
day
you.
is a long day. So
I'm still exhausted.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah, bowled league last night, and I was like, "This is not the scoring." Also, forgot all my bowling stuff at home, so we were scrapping at the bowling alley for some shoes and bowling balls.
Oh no, and that's not good either, right?
No, it
No.
wasn't, but that's okay. I
That's
didn't expect
awesome.
it.
It's the post-weekend brain fog. I made
Yeah.
it till 4:30 today before I realized my pants were on backwards. So
Oh,
it happens. We're coming off a big tournament weekend.
Yeah.
Things are just not all working up there. So it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, it's all good.
It's fine.
Finally recovering on. I'll give myself till like Friday.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking the time to share some of those insights with us. It's great to like pick your brain and kind of get an insight as to how that thought process goes in those moments. Because
We'll call the segment "What Makes Michaela Tick."
yeah,
A lot. A lot. I'm trying to minimalize it right now. I'm just trying to keep it to a
Fair,
few.
that's good.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
thanks
thanks for
so
having
much
me.
again, Michaela.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks,
we will-
Michaela.
On the lanes.
See you guys.
Bye.
I love that like all three of them have kind of different like
Mhm.
backgrounds in getting to this goal, right? Like it's interesting to see how everybody's mindsets line up to end up at the same place, which is like it's cool to see.
It really is, because when you think about it, Larissa was basically working on confidence, and then that showed up in the language where she said, I'm good at it. Shelly was more about, I just need to reset my game because it got too complicated, so I want to bring some fun back into the game. And then she got the results. And then Michaela's working on like minimalizing,
Emotion and like
yeah,
taking the highs and lows of the thought process out of it and giving herself some space to just play
yeah.
the game.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's cool.
Love it all.
All of the different things.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's kind of our autumn open recap, which is
Well,
nice.
honestly, Katie, I had a really hard day today, and I don't feel any of that hardness in my day. So thank you, everyone, for like joining us, and obviously all the guests. And I feel like all of that is gone for me now. So I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. Maybe the background helped too.
Yeah.
The fall backgrounds.
Nice calm podcast.
Yeah.
Pro League this weekend, both Cargill and Schwartz home hardware divisions are hitting the lanes. Is your team this weekend
Carnage is playing this weekend.
playing? It looks like the Thunder, Carnage, Trash Pandas, and Mayhem are all playing in the Cargill division. And over in the Schwartz division, Dynamite, Holy Rollers, Bombers, and Knockouts. So
Good first groups.
good first groups. I think our team hits the lanes next weekend for our first crack at it. So that'll be fun, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. And then next up on WCBT Tour TPC, November 7th to 10th. I saw posters have started to be posted about that this week now that we're autumn open behind us. So if you don't have your entries in for TPC yet, online entry is open. The invitational is open. The high stakes buy-in, the doubles is open. Like, get your entries in. It's a good weekend over at Sherwood Bowl. So hopefully that one is just as successful.
Yeah, looking forward to watching the output of the TPC and obviously getting going on the Pro League.
Yeah. Next ladies podcast, November 20th. And we have a few
I'll
weeks
be
off
there.
now, which is nice. But
Yeah, looking forward to it.
everyone for hanging out with us on a Wednesday night, and to all our guests. And congratulations to everyone who had a fantastic week at the Autumn Open. Lots of big games. We'll talk about it more next week, but it was a great tournament. So
Yeah, sounds good.
thanks, everyone, and we will see you next month.
Bye, everyone.